right, for this part, I'm going to show you how to make an egg bake with some of the produce from your summer food box. So obviously we have eggs, which is going to be right here in our carton, and we're only going to need 6 of them for this recipe. But this is going to be a very simple recipe that you can quickly add together a few ingredients and pop it into the oven, and we're going to go to the oven a bit later. But I do want to show you a really cool use of your beet tops. So for this recipe, typically we would add spinach, or that's what's commonly used. However, because you got beets in your summer food box, you can actually use the leafy green tops as a substitute for spinach with added nutrients and vitamins, just like your spinach. So what we're going to do is simply cut this off, cut the leafy green tops off of one little beet, and we're going to make sure that we rinse this very well to make sure there's no dirt or debris on the leafy greens. Give it a nice clean. All right, so now that our beet tops or beet greens are clean, we are going to simply just cut off the stems and cut the greens as if we would spinach. All right, there you have it. We're going to sit this in this bowl and add that later to some other ingredients that I have prepared. And so now it's time to prepare the eggs. We're going to take about 6 eggs and take a nice little size bowl. Crack your eggs inside. You can add those to a compost. It's good for your plants. All right, so our eggs are all cracked and in this bowl. Now for an egg bake, in order to make your eggs nice and fluffy, once it goes into the oven, I like to add a bit of milk. If you do not want to use dairy, you can actually opt for any other type of milk of your preference. Just throw it right into your eggs. Easy like that. Take a whisk and mix it all together. All right, now our eggs and our beet tops have been prepared. It's time to move on over to the stove to get this thing cooking. All right, so we're here at the stove and we're ready to prepare our egg bake. As you can see, I've got a couple of ingredients prepared from the last video. Our tomatoes, some squash from our zucchini and squash that was in the box, some onions, and I also have some minced garlic, salt, pepper, oil, and a few herbs over here, and some paprika. So we are ready, and I have my skillet right here on the stove top because some of these ingredients need to be prepared before going into the oven. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now, starting with our squash and our onions. Oh, but first we're going to add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil to get everything nice, the skillet nice and saturated with a bit of oil. And really you can use whatever vegetables you have on hand for an egg bake. As long as it goes well with eggs, you're good to go. And we're going to cook the squash along with the onions for about 3 or so minutes. And then we're going to add in a few other ingredients and seasonings. All right, so now that our squash and our onions have cooked down just a bit, they're softened, we can add in some other ingredients that I have over here. So I'm just going to sit this right here. We've got a bit of minced garlic that I have prepared already. Just add that in. You're going to add in a little dash of salt and pepper that I have mixed together. All right, not too much. Let's get this stirred in. I love the smell of all of this together. And now we're going to add in our beet tops, or the leafy greens, to our beets. Watch this magic. It's going to cook just like spinach. See, it's already beautiful and colorful. And also, because I'm preparing the eggs, I turned down the skillet just a bit so that our eggs don't overcook before we move them into the oven. All right, so now as you can see, the beet tops, or the leafy greens, have softened, and we are ready to add our eggs and our tomatoes and a little bit of seasoning. So we've got our eggs mixed up with a bit of milk, and that's to make it nice and fluffy. We're just gonna slowly add this in. Excellent. I'm going to add in just a little bit of paprika. This just ties all the flavors together. Mix this in just a bit. And lastly, we're going to top all of that off with our tomatoes. And tomatoes don't take long, so baking them in with everything is really just going to enhance all of those flavors and allow the tomatoes to soften just right. And now from here, we're going to take this off of the stove, and I want to mention that this is a oven safe and stovetop safe skillet. You want to make sure that you use that type of skillet, because going into the oven, you don't want any type of catastrophes to happen. So I'm going to take my oven safe skillet. My oven has been preheated to 350, and move this into the oven. All right, so our egg bake is complete. It's been in the oven for about 20 or 25 minutes. And as you can see, everything looks so beautiful and colorful, and it smells absolutely wonderful. And so what I'm gonna do is just take some dried thyme here. You can use whatever herb of your choice, fresh or dried. Sprinkle it on top for some added flavor and garnishment. And there you have it, a delicious egg bake with the produce from your summer box. Now, in the next video, I'm going to show you exactly how to repurpose this egg bake if you are unable to eat the full portion in this sitting. You can take half or however much you want to save for later, stick it into a plastic container and freeze it or refrigerate it until you are ready to prepare it. And that's typically no longer than about 3 or 4 days. All right, see you in the next video.